So welcome again. I just wanted to share the objectives of the Farmer Idea Lab series. This series was the brainstorm of Debbie Hamrick with NC Farm Bureau Federation here in North Carolina, and this is our second in the series. It's intended to provide opportunities for farmer-to-farmer sharing. It's an opportunity for you to hear success stories and lessons learned from your peers. And we hope that you'll come away with new ideas to help your farm become more profitable and hopefully leave inspired to continue evaluating your farm business and making sure you're adapting to changing markets and new opportunities as they arise. So briefly, Jose Cisneros is the liaison for international programs in the College of Agriculture and Life Science at North Carolina State University, and also faculty in the Department of Horticultural Science. Cisneros' area of expertise are entrepreneurship, international horticulture, and information technology, supported with extensive experience by founding startups, participating in international agriculture development programs, and as a consultant for international marketing. Briefly, for those who are not familiar with this Blackboard Collaborate webinar platform, you hopefully have had worked through your audio through the audio setup wizard. If not, if you're having trouble hearing, you can use that wizard at this point in time to set that up. Also, if you're having trouble hearing, you might check your audio volume as well. And then we'll do the presentations, and then during the presentation you are welcome to enter any questions you have into the chat box, and we will moderate a Q&A response to those questions after the presentation today. So I'd like to thank our sponsors, which include the SES North Carolina Growing Together Project, NC Farm Bureau Federation, NC State Horticultural Science Department, and North Carolina Cooperative Extension. Just quickly, the agenda. Jose Cisneros will introduce VMAC Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin with Baldwin Family Farms will share his presentation on the entrepreneurial opportunity of limited resources. We'll have time for your questions, and then we'll close and send out an evaluation. So, Jose, if you are ready, if you could push your talk button and turn that on, and I'll hand this over to you. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. It is really my pleasure to introduce VMAC Baldwin. I have to say this, I have a long experience working with business people from all dimensions, from all sizes, small ones, big ones. And one thing that is hard to find is business people that understands, that connects the technological production side with the marketing side. And one of the few people that I met that has it really very clear is VMAC. I have seen his operation, I have talked with him, and he had it clear. He has both sides are great operations, and I think is the key of his success. I want to delay and take more time from VMAC. Please welcome VMAC. It's your turn.
Thank you, Jose. You were mighty gracious with your compliments there, and I just trust that this presentation will live up to those good words. I would like to start with a slide which talks about my contact information. So let's get the second one, Jose, up there. I want to direct you to my website, baldwinbeef.com. We've tried to put a wealth of information on that website for our readers, and we've had many consumers compliment us about that, how they learned so much from the website. So encourage you to do that. My cell is there. You're welcome to call me at any time. You see my VMAC is in quotes, and this is a marketing thing that's happened to me. I've been known many years as Clean Mike Baldwin, And about 15 years ago, we realized we had to really get in the marketing business to do the direct marketing that we envisioned for our beef. I picked up my first initial and kind of run it together and just say VMAC. And I would recommend, if you're in the marketing end of the business, to do that to your name if you can. Something that makes your name unique so people can remember it and associate it with your product. That's caught on our beef, and it's helped to brand our beef. And so not only has the beef branded as Baldwin beef, but also the name. And it's something I recommend. We want to show you quickly our family. Call ourselves Baldwin Family Farms, and that's sort of a dream of Peggy and I. We just come through the campus here at NC State this morning, where we came shortly after we were married. I was in school here, and we're living in veterans housing here on campus, and the cattle herds were on the back side of the campus, and we ride a Vespa scooter back there and talk about a family farm we'd like to have one day. And Peggy is standing behind me in that picture, and my daughter's in the yellow. We couldn't produce a family, so our family's adopted. We adopted Patty when she was in the first grade, and the big guy on the right-hand side on the front row is our son Craig, and we adopted him when he was 5 weeks old. And so the rest of the crew that you see are the family that they gave us. So we're grateful for God's providence in giving us a family. So we're thankful. Entrepreneurial opportunities of limited resources. Now that's a fancy title, and what I would like to do is just simply get out and with some plain talk and talk about what we think that means. In plain English, I think this is an expression that has been in my family for many years, and I'd like to share it with you, and that is do what you can where you are with what you've got. My dad gave me that expression very young, early in life, and it's sort of stuck with me down through the years. And whenever I was confronted with something that I didn't think I could do, I just kept trying and trying to figure out a way and make it happen, and it finally happens. This is a picture of VMAC and the little guy that we adopted, Craig. He's about 1.5 years old there. He was 5 weeks old when we got Craig. And this is Peggy's home farm in Burlington. Her dad passed away, and he had a small 19-acre tobacco farm, and I started on that farm. The family let me have the farm to work with. That's a B model Alice Chalmers tractor I'm sitting on. If you know much about those kind of tractors, you know it does not have a live PTO shaft, so you can't operate a cutter with it. But I didn't know that. So you see the light I have mounted on the back of the tractor. I was set up determined I was going to be able to cut hay and make hay, and I had to do that at night because I had a day job. So I found a horse-drawn mower and put it behind the Alice Chalmers B model, and we cut hay. So that was my beginning. And now my background is we've been in the cattle business for over 50 years. Our business is producing and grazing Charolais cattle, and we direct market that now as an all-natural grass-fed Charolais beef. We're very blessed to have some strong markets. We're in 11 Whole Food stores, and recently in North Carolina Kroger stores, 3 organic markets, the Carburst Farmers Market, and internet sales and shipping. By the way, the Carburst Farmers Market is where we started. I would recommend that anyone who's starting out to do direct marketing to start with the farmers market. There you're facing the consumer every week, and you get immediate feedback on your product. And when you're starting out, you need to continue working on that product so that those customers come back and tell you that's remarkable. That's a very, very good product, and we love it, and we tell our friends. Now, if they start telling you that, then you've made a home run. And what you then need to do then is do more of that and keep maintaining that quality that that you gave that feedback from. So you'll hear me speak about God's providence quite a bit in my life. I'm a believer that God orchestrates our days and our divine intersections in people as they cross through our life and they cross paths. And I joined the Gideons International in 1979. This is the Association of Christian Business and Professional Men who place the Bibles in hotels and motels and jails and prisons and university campuses and that sort of thing. And so I got to associate with these great guys and to hear many, many testimonies of people who had read the Bibles and how those scriptures had changed their lives. And of course of getting more and more deeply in scriptures, I found Psalm 37:4, which changed my life. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. And I've tried to implement that in my life, and I have realized what I believe is the desires of my heart. The dream that I had very early, and that's the picture you see of the dream of our place. The house up in the Grove of Trees there is our home house, and if you look carefully to the right, there's a building that used to be a 3-car garage, and that's our meat sales store. And of course, the big barn on the right is our handling facilities and working pens for the cattle. These cattle are standing in ryegrass and crimson clover. And I'll talk to you more about that as we go along. That's a very important part of our equation. This is a real neat picture of some steers. If you'll notice real carefully, the steer on the about third from the left, if you look real carefully, you'll see a stem of grass hanging down from his mouth. That's a stem of crabgrass. And that's one of our summer forages, the primary summer forage, and we'll talk about that a little later. That's very, very important to us. I've laid out what I believe are 10 points to be a successful cattleman. And point number 1 is the most important, is to claim your dream. Whatever your dream is, as to whether it be a cattleman or whether you want, whatever you want to pursue in life, you have to reach out and claim that dream. And the earlier you do that, the better. One of my heroes was Stonewall Jackson, and when he was a professor at VMI, Virginia Military Institute, he would encourage the men. In fact, there's an archway there now in the school which has this inscription on it: "A man can be what he says he can be." And that's extremely important in my thinking. If you're not willing to speak up and say what you want to be, then you're not going to get anywhere. You have to really reach out and claim the dream that you have and speak it, and keep speaking it. Speaking your dream is the first step to success in my book. In my case, I had a dream very early in my life of being a cattleman and having something to do with making my living with cattle. My grandfather had a tobacco farm, as most North Carolina farms are. He had a couple of milk cows, but at any rate, I would get his Progressive Farmers and farm journals and take them home with me and clip out the pictures and paste up a book of cattle pictures. And I pretty well had all their names under there. I finally convinced my dad I needed a calf. I'd saved up $60 by the time I was 10 years old. My dad was an antique dealer. I was not raised on a farm. And I heard him tell my mother, "Well, we're going to get this calf from Ag, but this will be it. This will be it. He won't want to know any more about cattle after he gets through taking care of this calf." So brought home this calf, and I began to learn how to take care of this calf. Fell in love with him. We didn't have any fence, didn't have any pasture. I put a halter on this calf and a chain, and would stake him out grazing yard grass. But that was a wonderful experience. I've never have gotten over being a cattleman and being around cattle. And so I tell people what my dad didn't want to have, it didn't work. So I fell in love with cattle at that point. And all corporate extension began to kick in my life. I met at that time they were not called extension directors and agents; they were called county agents. And a guy named Watts, Jack Watts, who was the county agent in Durham County at that time, he came into my life. He showed me how to make a steer out of my calf and how to take care of him, and we became great friends. And he helped me set the farm up. I set the land up. We had about 1.5 acres. And by the time I graduated from high school, I had 6 head of cattle there on 1.5 acres, and I had a fence and then fescue. Now, how in the world do you raise 6 head of cattle on 1.5 acres? I got a job at the Colonial Store, and I was in the produce department. And I'd bring home the scraps, the corn, the lettuce, the whatever, the potatoes, whatever they were scrapping out, and I'd feed to my cattle. So I learned to feed byproducts very early in my life, and I'm still doing it today. And I sold my herd, going to the Navy. I took them to the stockyard, and I learned another lesson. That's the last place you want to sell cattle is the stockyard, because you're a price taker, not a price maker. And so you'll always be disappointed in the check. So that's the last place. Point number 2 is you have to marry the right partner. We used to ride a little Vespa scooter around the campus here. I might have mentioned this, and we always end up on the backside of the campus looking at the cattle herds. I was an engineering student at that time, and I would tell Peggy, darling, one day we're going to have a cattle farm. We're going to have a cattle herd like this. And she said, yeah, big boy, you're going to be an engineer. I said, that's fine, whatever. And I said, listen, I'm telling you, I mean this. It's the stuff. It's real stuff. So finally, when we got into it, my second point is be prepared for some blowback sometime. The time gets tough because when the checkbook gets short and everything's being squeezed because of the cattle. In fact, I remember Peggy telling me one time, you tricked me anyway. I thought I was marrying an engineer, and I ended up marrying a cowboy in a suit. So things can get tough, but keep holding on to your dream, and eventually she'll be the queen, and I love it. That's what my advice would be. Point number 3. Well, that's the picture. I put that in because I wanted you to see my sweetheart. When we got married, she just graduated from nursing school, and I was going in my senior year at NC State as a double lead as electrical engineering major. Point number 3 is seek out mentors. My first mentor, as I mentioned, was Jack Watts, a Durham County agent, and he stuck with me all the way through high school. I mean, I love that guy, and he was so good to me. He got some grant money to help me put the grass in and put the fence in. And even more recently, corporate extension, Matt Poor, Dr. Matt Poor, he taught us a great deal about byproducts, commodity feeds. Paul Walker was the livestock agent in Alamance County when we really got cooking on Peggy's home place there, the 19 acres. And of course, Joy Knight, Joy's with me today, and I love extension. It's a wealth of information that they have at their fingertips. That whatever you need, they can help you get that information. Other cattlemen in my life, Mr. R.C. Cossey. Mr. R.C. was a great old horn Hereford breeder in Guilford County, and we got to be friends. And he decided he wanted to cut back on his operation. He called me one day and said, "I'm willing to sell you a group of my cattle and lease you the farm. Are you interested?" And of course, I came home to tell Peggy about that, and she said, "You've lost your ever-loving mind." His farm was about 25 miles from where we were at that time. But she said, I said, "Well, I believe the Lord's in this." She said, "Well, whatever you think, that's all I need to hear her say, you know." And so we bought 60 head of horn Herefords and leased his farm for 5 years. And I went to college under Mr. R.C. And it taught me a great deal. It taught me one thing: you do not have to be constantly supervising cattle if you've got a good fence and good tight fence and plenty of water. So we're still remotely managing cattle to a great extent today because of what we learned from Mr. R.C. I'll tell you about Dr. Holland Rogers a little later on. Be profit driven. No long-term success unless you're profitable. And I hear cattlemen say, men say, well, I can't make any money on cattle. Well, you need to stay small enough till you do make a profit. Don't try to get yourself all wound up with a big operation and not have the kinks worked out in it. One handy way to learn is to do your own income taxes. You start looking at the F schedule. It'll tell you where the loss is and the profit or loss. And just keep doing something until you do something that works and then do more of it. That's my simple advice of that. And that's what we've done. We changed our operation a dozen times over the years. And now we believe we've got the ideal setup for North Carolina. North Carolina is a consumer state. We got 10 million consumers in North Carolina in a great four-season climate with normally 50 inches of water. So we can grow some good grass. Point number 5 is being an innovator. We're always looking to do something new each year if we can. The current focus is on looking at pet food. You realize that there's a set of market people out there, customers out there that's looking for high quality pet food. And there's nothing higher quality in pet food than raw organ meats. And guess what? When you process cattle, you have organ meats and you have tripe. And these are very much in demand by people who have high-end demands on their pet food. So we're looking at that right now and trying to put a facility together on the farm to be able to process that and get it on the market. Attacking the limiting factors, reducing hay feeding is a big thrust for us. Hay is the most expensive feed that you can feed cattle. Obviously, we want to graze the cattle as much as we can. The Extension's done a great job in trying to get the message out to the cattlemen in North Carolina about the primary forage here is fescue and stockpile the fescue to get that winter feed down, cost down. We kind of took a different approach because we were grass feeding our cattle and we didn't. Fescue does not work very well for that. In my opinion, it puts an off flavor in the cattle that you're going to eat. So we went a different way, and I'll show you a picture of the next one. This is our winter feed. This is Marshall ryegrass, and you can see we need more cattle in that picture, that's for sure. And so we love Marshall ryegrass. It's a great winter feed. And it's our primary winter component. Go ahead now. This is on over in early part of the season where this is probably a November picture after we put our ryegrass in the fall. And this stockpile grass is what we will take off through the rest of the winter and leave the hay baler in the shed. Okay. Develop alternative feed system. This is a biggie for us. I hinted at that a moment ago when I talked about when I was a kid and working in the produce department, bringing home the scrap produce. North Carolina has a lot of available byproducts, vegetable byproducts from canning operations and processing operations. And they make excellent feed if they're handled properly and put before the cattle right. And these companies are out there, and we network with them to provide a green solution for that. These products would normally have to go to the landfill, but we work with them and bring them into our farm and blend together rations that we can feed our, especially our mama cows, and get them through the winter without expensive feed, almost as cheap as grazing. Look at the next picture, if you would. This is a setup there. We're putting carrots in that bucket. This comes from a cannery, and you realize that carrots has about the same plant food as corn, and so we've got a mixer set up there. We've got another mixer that we built. We took a cement mixer truck and took the tank off and put a big mixer box on. box cylinder. We can feed 250 cows at one time with the blend we put in that box. So you see the houses behind it. They're poultry houses. We've got 8 of those. They're there for a purpose. They generate, of course, cash flow every week, and but we get 300 tons of marvelous plant food, organic plant food, out of each one of those houses. We produce about 5 million pounds of organic plant food out of those 8 houses every year. This is another pit of, this is a watermelon, cantaloupe, and pineapple. This is from a huge processing company here in not too far from our farm, and we bring that in. We started out with them very small. When they were first starting their operation, we'd bring home one. I think we had at time a big long tandem dump truck, a 22-foot bed of it, and we bring that home once a week. Now we're bringing home 2 tractor trailer loads a day. So that's part of our mixing. We expand by leveraging. We lease wherever possible, leasing operations, equipment and land where possible. Go ahead. We run that thing. Okay, point number 6 is take calculated risk. Get all the information you can and then make a decision. Some people just can't make a decision, and you have to make decisions. And make sure that the debt that you take on generates income. And seek out synergism. We mentioned the poultry a while ago. That works very well with cattle. A chicken works once a week, once a day when she's laying eggs, and a cow works once a year when she's producing a calf. So we optimize those 2 and put them together and got synergism out of it. Okay. Be a marketer. We realize that in order to be successful in marketing, you've got to get your name out there, and you've got to have a good product. You've got to be remarkable, and you've got to have a way of connecting that product to your story. And all of this, the grassroots of that is a farmer's market. And then you start branding with your brochures that you put out, your labels on your product. Making sure always that you have a happy customer. I always say to a happy customer, you're now part of our unpaid sales staff, and I'll equip them with brochures and ask them to give them to everybody in their Sunday school class and their neighbors and tell them about our beef. So that's how we sell. Constantly seeking out new information. Grass is our business. We sell grass. We just put up a sign in our meat sales room. I'm a secondhand vegetarian. I eat cows, and cows eat grass. So that's what we sell. We're selling grass. We seek out the grass experts to see what we can learn, how we can do a better job. We're been very much a part of the North Carolina Forage and Grassland Council and the American Forage and Grassland Council. We pioneered nearly a year-round grazing system. It's not absolutely year-round, but it's pretty doggone close. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can go on our website and look. We have that documented in an article on the website, so you can check that out. To be adapted to change. We're constantly looking at how we can do things better, and simply follow the money. My son came to me the other day and said, "Dad, we're paying way too much on what it's costing us to maintain this equipment. We've got, I think, 6 road tractors now, and dump trailers, and walking floor trailers, and belt trailers." And I said, we need to dig and come up with $30,000 or $40,000 to build on our farm shop. So we're going to do that. We feel like that's going to be able to make some changes to save some money on the farm. Whatever your experience is, to try to leverage that to make the next step to making changes. Investing in the future, we've constantly, Peggy and I have constantly invested everything we've ever made back in the farm. This could very be the number one point that I should have made. You have to have a long-range outlook. You must have a 5-year outlook, if not longer, at least 5 years, and possibly longer. Cattle is a long-range outlook to begin with, operation anyway, planning for that. We started very small. We purchased 2 Charolais heifers in 1969, and we stayed small. We learned to artificially inseminate and we kept retaining heifers and kept building a breeding herd and building a breeding herd and kept leasing farms until we were confident we had the right breed of cattle and we knew how to manage them to produce a profit. And that's when we bought our first farm in 1981. We've grown from there, and we're expecting if all of them are bred, which are looking doggone good, we're practically checking them as we're working them too, and we got real good pregnancy this year. We're looking for 800 calves this year. So that's how we've grown, by investing back with retaining heifers. There's 2 ways to invest. You either buy it or produce it, and we've gone down the producing road. It's taken quite a few years to do this, over 50 years, but the locomotive is going downhill now and it's shady, so we're glad. Okay, I believe that. One final thought: if you want to be in the top 10% of cattlemen, just don't quit, because 9 out of 10 of your shears are going to quit. And that's my advice today. I trust that this has been helpful to you. God bless.
Okay. Thank you, VMAC. This was a great presentation. I just have one question for you that I have been thinking is, as I said at the beginning, many business people, especially in agriculture, doesn't think much about the marketing side. So VMAC, if you can get one advice about marketing, what would be that?
The number one advice I give about marketing is really, really focus in on your product. Your product has got to be remarkable. What does remarkable mean? That means that whomever is going to buy this product and take it home and cook it has got to say, wow, this is the best I've ever eaten. This is good. And the husband tells the wife, where did you get this? And she, well, I've got it at Baldwin Farm. So we went down to Whole Foods and bought some grass-fed beef there at Baldwin Farm. And he'll say, you got to have more, we got to have more. So you've got to keep working on that product to get it remarkable. In my case, we had to change our forage system entirely. North Carolina is a fescue state, and I am confident if you want quality grass-fed beef with the right flavor that people are going to talk about, it's got to be grown with annuals. And the breed of cattle in Charolais is, I know of no better breed of cattle that have the right kind of texture. We give you a 90-10 ground beef, and out of it, it'll just be a wonderful chew. So that's my recommendation. Keep working on it, make it remarkable.
Okay.
Yes, great.
Joanna?
Thank you so much, VMAC. I really appreciated hearing about your farm and what has led to your success over time. We do have a couple of questions in the chat box. If I could read those out to you and hear your response. The first one is from Sean. It says, VMAC, please comment on what you would like to see change with beef processing in North Carolina.
Well, we're fortunate in North Carolina to have the processing capacity that we currently have. There are some states that don't have any custom processing capacity. In my case, I have 2 custom plants that I can draw on to do my work to get our cattle processed. If you provide the business, the processing plants will come, in my opinion. And with the interest that's taking place in North Carolina of going back to local foods, and there's a lot of cattlemen now who are looking at doing some direct market themselves and want to have the beef processed. That's business that the processing plants need to stay in business. And I think the town of Concord, they have to build a local processing plant in that area for that to serve them. We have a plant in Salt City that does our work. It's a halal plant. I'll mention that in just a moment. That's run by Abdul Shadrag. And halal means it's beef that has been processed by Muslims, and they say a Muslim prayer over that beef. And so a lot of our people, a lot of our customers who find out we have that kind of certification on it will order that beef just because they're Muslim people. And but the rest of them buy it because it's the quality it is. And there's a new plant that's been changing ownership north of us that excuse me, a little bit west of us. That is the Piedmont Custom Processors, and they're doing an outstanding job of getting that plant, the old Mackin plant, cranked it up with some new equipment, and it's going to be a great place to process your beef. So processors, if you've got processing plants, you'd be thankful. And if you don't, then just look at the people who are doing it, and they can tell you where the closest plants are. Okay.
Thank you for that, VMAC. We have a couple other questions, and we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to allow us to go over just a few minutes since we got a little bit of a late start. And so the question from Nancy is, do you lease the majority of your land? If so, do you find it hard to find land or landowners? I'm sorry, do you find it harder to find land or landowners?
Well, land is always out there in the hands of people who are, at some point in life, they're ready to sort of back down their operation. Just like I mentioned about Mr. R.C. Causey. Mr. R.C. was in his late 80s, pushing 90 years old, when he come to me and wanted to lease part of his farm. We do lease quite a bit of land. We lease, I started saying well over 2,000 acres, but one of the tracts is that we're going to lease, in fact, tomorrow we're supposed to sign the papers on to buy that, one of those tracts. So I would love to lease land as my first option. That's the cheapest option. It's cheaper than owning it. Now, fortunately, where we are up on the Virginia border, we can cross over into Virginia, and there's good grazing land in Virginia. We take under lease, and my county has been primarily a tobacco county, and a lot of those farms have gone out of the tobacco business, and so we're able to lease those tobacco farms and convert them into grass farms. And quite a few farms, we just plain farms that we lease the land, put it in grass, and put a tight fence around it with a long lease. This works very, very well for us.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question here, if you could discuss, not really a question, just if you could discuss retail marketing versus wholesale with your beef business.
You need both. Retail marketing is absolutely the best avenue to go, because you haven't put any hands between you and the consumer. That's the whole purpose about direct marketing, is to get as close to the consumer as you can. There's nothing like a one-to-one transaction between you and the person who's going to be eating that product. We've done that in two different ways. We've done that really three different ways. We still go to the Carver Farmers Market. We've gotten to be called fair weather marketers now, because it's going to rain or be cold or anything like that. They always don't show up. But at any rate, that led us to building a store on our farm. We took a 3-car garage and converted it into a beef store, and it's growing more and more every year with business, and we're constantly having to do some more expansion on it. And because we have that store to work out of, we've gotten in direct marketing over the internet. Our website now has a shopping cart, and it's a good shopping cart. It's easy. Y'all are very user-friendly. People send us orders in all week. We hold them till Monday and ship them on Monday with UPS. And so we've learned to be able to ship across country. putting dry ice and insulated shippers and letting go, and so that's been a good addition to us in marketing. So and Whole Foods has been very, very good to us. If you go to Whole Foods, 11 Whole Foods store we're in now, and all of those guys behind the meat counter have been out to the farm, and they know our story, and they will repeat it behind the counter if anyone asks. And in fact, they've got my picture, I think, in all the stores hanging on the wall. It's a few lines about the Baldwin family farm. So that, that always helps. And we've had many, many customers that get acquainted with our beef first at Whole Foods, and then come in and buy from us in some quantity. They buy it by quarters and things like that. Okay.
Thank you so much. And we have one additional question here. Can you disclose an estimate of annual sales? And that is a question up to you whether to answer that or not, certainly.
That's kind of business confidential. We don't like to tout that very much. But we're blessed, and we just try to keep let me put it this way. We're without herd inventory. We got about 1,500 head of cattle right now, and we wish we had 2,000. So that ought to tell you something about our beef sales. I mean, the demand is there. You make the product remarkable, and you'll sell all the beef you can possibly ever grow. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Well, thank you. I'm looking at the time, and I think we've put in our 45 minutes here. VMAC, thank you so much for taking the time to come on this webinar today and share your story and share what you feel has made you successful in the farming business that you are in. We really appreciate that. Want to let folks know to save the date and go ahead and register for the Farmer Idea Lab number 3 coming up in April. We're calling this Farm Transitions. It's Cliff Pilson with CV Pilson Farms. It'll be moderated by Rebecca Dunning of the CEF's North Carolina Growing Together project. And I have pasted the link to register into the chat bar. I will also send you to a survey here in just a moment. If you can please fill that out, and that will also direct you to the registration page. Thank you all for being with us today. I do hope you'll fill out the survey and let us know how we can improve on these into the future and if they're helpful to you. So I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you very much.